During this video, we're going to talk about not just farming, but actually harvesting, secret strategies sales warriors know about geographic farming for real estate professionals. Hey everybody, my name is Todd Conklin. I'm the head coach for Sales Warrior Community, coaching some of the top real estate professionals in the entire industry. And I'm going to share with you one of their secret strategies, one of the ways that they're just getting their unfair share of listings. That's right, listings. As we all know, you got to list to last. And I'm going to give you exactly what they do, step-by-step strategies to pick and actually farm and plant and nurture and then, yes, harvest to get it to the table. See, a lot of people, they think, oh, we're just going to farm, but that's not really what we're doing here. We're here to farm so that we can harvest. Let's start with how we pick the right farm. And for our work today, we're going to focus on geographic farming. So what I want to do first is identify the kind of agent that I want to be. I am not one of those people that falls for this whole idea that, hey, look, I've got to start way down here because I'm new to the business and then I earn my stripes and then I can get up here. We saw back in 2020 and 21 and 22 that the agents just exploded onto the scene and they just did it as if they could own it. And they owned it. A lot of them owned it. Now look, we've seen a lot of them backslide now, but that was more because they didn't build structure and foundations, one of those being a really strong farming strategy. So we're going to fix all that today. So pick the right area. Look, if you like high rises, pick high rises. If you want to be a luxury agent, pick luxury neighborhoods. If you want to own something that's geographically around where you live, then just do that. But pick the one that you actually want to work with those clients long term. This is not a short-term strategy. It's a long-term strategy. Number two, as you go through and identify a farm, you're going to want to make sure that there's some activity going on. So you're going to have to figure out, like I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of agents where you're like, okay, great, you picked that farm. Tell me a little bit about it. Oh, I love the houses there. I'm like, that's fantastic. How many homes have sold there in the last year? Oh, well, none have sold the last year. Well, how about the last 2 years? Well, 2 have sold the last 2 years. Okay, wait a minute, we got to talk. That's a problem because you can't manufacture business. You're talking about getting your unfair share of the business that's actually happening. So if there's no transaction volume that's happening in a neighborhood, that's not your neighborhood. If you're in a traditional market, I think you're probably talking about that 3 or probably 5 to 7% transaction, that turnover rate. If you're talking about luxury resort markets, those numbers can be smaller because the price is so much higher, but ultimately you're going to have to determine whether or not it's the right return on investment for you. So as you calculate how much you're going to have to invest in your farm, I like using $1.50 per home. So if you've got a neighborhood that's 100, then you're just going to apply $1.50. That's $150 per month. Those are monthly costs. Now look, if that's no big deal to you, awesome. You want to do more, fantastic. But now you know, hey, look, I can afford $450 a month. Fantastic. Now I know that I can find 300 doors worth of farm. The next thing you want to do is figure out whether or not you've got a dominant or a fragmented marketplace. What I mean by that? Well, look, some people will teach you before you choose your farm, make sure that not one person owns the market. I don't buy into that. I believe that like if one person owns the market, it just means that my messaging is going to be different than if it's fragmented. Fragmented would be like 10 transactions happened there and was 10 different agents. Dominant would be 10 transactions happened there and 8 of them were from one agent. Your messaging is going to change. What's most important is that there's actual transaction volume taking place. Now we've picked your farm and we're going to walk you through step by step what you have to do to plant, nurture, and harvest from that.
Real estate professionals, you and I both know 87% of the licensees don't make it in this business. Don't worry, I don't have anything to sell you here, but what I do want to do is I want to impact your life. I want to change your life. In order for you to be the top of the top, you're going to need to do some things different. And one of those things is to become part of the Sales Warrior community. Subscribe below, it's free.
Step one is always writing a handwritten note. And I'm talking about like a birthday card, wedding card, that kind of thing. And it's hand addressed. On the back of it has got your return address. On the front, it's got a stamp. And you open that up, it's a handwritten card. The scripts and the dialogues that we use can all be found in Lethal Scripts of the Sales Warrior. If you don't have that, there'll be a link below. Please go ahead and get that. But this one is going to be, I have a buyer. And that's going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, Todd Conklin with Banana Realty. I have a buyer who's interested in purchasing a home in your neighborhood. I told him I would do everything in my power to identify if there was somebody in the neighborhood that was interested in selling. Do you have any interest in selling? If so, please call or text me at this number. I would put my cell number. I would include some cards in there, and then I would probably end it. If it's not you, but you know somebody that might be interested, feel free to pass along my cards. That's it. As soon as you've written the handwritten cards, you're going to take all of those addresses and you're going to put them in your set it and forget it direct mail campaign. These are postcards, but they're not the postcards that you're probably thinking of. I'm not talking about just listed and just sold. I'm talking about coming up with a cadence of 6 sequences. They could be a branding piece about you. They could be a charitable giving about you. It could be the goings on in the area, in the marketplace. It could be every 3 months, you're giving them, here's all of the pending activity and sold activity and new listing activity. But it's 1 per month and I want them to be recyclable. Okay, so once I set it up, very little do I have to do in order for them to keep going out. Right, so I've sent the cards. My next is going to be I'm going to make phone calls. So 2 weeks following the time that I sent the personal notes, I'm going to start making phone calls to the neighborhood. Same script, only difference is going to be I'm calling Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, Todd Conklin, ABC Realty. I'm sure you got my note, but I just wanted to follow with a phone call. As I mentioned in my note, I've got a buyer. They're very interested in being in that neighborhood. They love, love, love it. I told them I would do everything I could to find somebody in the neighborhood. If there was somebody that might be interested in selling, I'm calling, do you have any interest in selling your property? Yes, no, whatever the answer is. All right, great. By the way, do you know anybody else maybe in the market? Maybe it's somebody who was getting a job promotion or transfer, or maybe a kid that just graduated, some kind of life change that's going on. Do you know anybody? No? All right, well, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. That's it. And now from here on out, I'm going to cycle every other month. I made the phone calls this month. Next month, I'm going to knock on doors using the same script. Make sure that you follow the scripts and dialogues in the book of lethal scripts. Please, we talk specifically about how to knock a door. We don't ring doorbells. Where do we look? Where do we stand? All of the connection built and rapport building. Make sure that you know that stuff. Here's my promise to you. If you follow the strategy, really good things are going to happen. You're going to end up with listing. And you're going to, look, I'm not talking about 18 months. I'm talking about 6 months. I'm talking about shortening, compressing this time. They've gotten a handwritten card from me. They're getting regular postcards from me. They've heard my voice from the phone call. They've seen my face from knocking on the doors. I have, in a very short period of time, compressed the amount of time it takes to germinate some growth here. My farming is on turbo so that I can begin to harvest. So when I get those listings, now the game really starts. Now, I don't just list properties, I launch them. And if you're looking for a launch strategy, make sure that you go to my YouTube channel and just search Don't List, Launch for a step-by-step launch your listing process. But you're gonna make sure that you do this as well as possibly can be done, because what that's gonna be is gonna be even more opportunities for you to plant, for you to water, for you to nurture, and for you to harvest. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that helps you. If you know somebody that is looking for another lead source, if you know somebody who's looking to get better at farming, would you do me a favor, share this with them? If you got something out of this and there's one thing that you're gonna add to your farming strategy, do me a favor, put it in the comments below and we'll see you on the next video.